when Diplo's on a project, you can tell his impact that he's made, but I feel like it's not something you can maybe see right off the bat. Like Scott Storch, he's playing the hell of these keys and doing all kinds of shit like that,
Yeah.
But I feel like you have just this intangible thing that you bring to a project. Do you kind of know what it is? Can you put it into words what it is that you think you bring to a project?
Everybody's different, you know. I was in the sessions this whole week writing new stuff with artists, everybody from like big pop artists, writers like Ryan Tedder, and then like Smooky Margielaa the day before, who's like 15 years old.
Right.
And he just like mumbles the whole song and goes back and cuts line by line.
Right.
Some guys might do a scratch and I'll edit the vocal and then create a record. Like someone like Ryan makes a big hook first. It's more, each one of them's different.
Yeah.
Each one of them can have a big record. So the biggest trait as a producer, and this isn't like a DJ producer, but as a producer working with other artists, is just to be able to like create chemistry and make those people feel comfortable. And sometimes you have to it's being a con artist sometimes, manipulating them and like
it's like you're a psychologist almost.
It's like you have to like be there and be everything for them at that moment and make your job is to keep the vibe going. Right.
Because I think
it's actually the same thing as being a DJ. Like you have to kind of like be in that room with them and don't let it stop. Make their attention always focus on the music.
Right. I think a lot of times artists can be their own worst enemy. When creating music, they're so obsessed with, I think, trying to do something new or exciting that they forget that at the core of it you want to just make a good record. Yeah. And somebody like you is your job just to reel them back in. You know what I mean?
Most times my idea is if you can break a song down to piano and guitar, and it's amazing, even if it's like a giant Avicii record or something,
of course.
Or something that's a big EDM chorus. But a lot of times it just might be like a mumbled thing. That you can't, like there's a certain atmosphere in a studio that creates that energy. It's just different energy.
No,
and sometimes I don't understand some of it.
It's just happening.
I'm not good at a lot of it. Like I might go late night, 4 a.m. Trippie Red's like, I got a spot to pull up. I'm like, really? I was like, I'll just try. I'll give it a chance. I'm in this room. It's like so many kids everywhere, and I'm just like. I'm like the dad. I'm like, trying to like finesse it, but even going to those places, things like that, like going to studio sessions with people that are just things I'm like, what am I doing this for? But it's every experience I'm growing on, every experience I'm learning, and like these little interactions with people is what makes me a better artist. I feel like.
No,
that's
absolutely.
Awesome.
And I think you've always been that guy that searched out what the next thing is. Trying to be the first person. I mean, even just travel wise, I think you were touring in places that nobody else was touching for a while. But I was always curious, what's like your sketchiest travel story that you've ever had? Like even if it was back in the day when you were first just going to these random places before the Diplo name was such a household name.
Places like maybe Dakar and in Bangladesh, places that are just we're not allowed to leave the hotel without like a group of like 20 pit bulls. Yeah. Guys that shoot. And I've never actually been around Bangladesh. I had a show there and I never saw anything, so I'm not sure what it
what even looks like.
What life was like on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, every time I did one show in Ethiopia last April, and they didn't have any pyro. Big show, like 10,000 people, and I played with this Ethiopian jazz band who was people going off to this music, and then I played afterwards. They were going off to it was more of like a rave. Yeah. But they didn't have any pyro, but they had a hot air balloon that without the balloon, they just started next to stage during like drops and stuff.
That's so creative. That's amazing.
Yeah, you just got to make do.
Yeah, you gotta make do with the best you have, which I love. And I think what's also interesting, even just going into these places, you're talking about going to Jamaica to make music, a lot of these subgenres have like a very tight-knit kind of thing. They don't like outsiders. I mean, even, like the Baltimore club scene or the New Orleans bounce stuff or the Jersey club scene, they're very weary about outsiders kind of coming in. I mean, have you ever had any weird experience where you kind of, really had to sit there and just kind of humble yourself to prove that you really love this music you're trying to make with them?
I think maybe in Brazil when I first started going there, I got if I wasn't so lucky, I went there with a magazine, and everybody wanted to be in the magazine. So everybody was like, they were just like giving me everything. I met one big DJ there, and he took me to like every part. I mean, the places I've been to were like war zones. Like I would never, I wouldn't be able to go to myself and be very uncomfortable. I think when I was there, I never felt unsafe or anything because I'm not part of that side of the community. I'm part of the music side, and everybody was into the music. And when I spoke to people, even if I didn't speak much Portuguese, I was able to say, like, I could talk to them about the presets and the way they're using. At that time, it was Acid Pro in the program. So it just was literally the music was a language. No matter where I was, if I was doing that, nothing else really mattered around me.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
I love how did you use like things like working for the magazine to kind of finesse your way into a lot of these places?
That trip, 100%. But once I got there, I think I just been, there's only been a few places where I really was in the music scene. Brazil, Jamaica, of course, Miami, Philly, Baltimore.
Yeah.
But the thing about the Baltimore club scene was I was kind of in that scene. Like a lot of the young producers were going to my parties, and it was a really big crossover in Philadelphia.
Gotcha, okay.
Probably the coolest city where we developed a scene that was so multicultural.
Right.
Not just by like what the people looked, but just like everybody came there because it was the party where anything goes.
Right.
And then back then, no one was dressing cool.
Yeah.
People were going there with like their work clothes, you know, I did like the UPS delivery guy would be at the party.
Oh, yeah. You didn't have Instagram to teach you how to dress for
Right.
this party.
When I look at it, we look at photos, which are like actual photos, for like, and in a magazine, I was like, man, nobody dressed cool at these parties. Like literally, they go to parties, and their shirts were gonna leave. They're gonna leave with stains on their shirts and stuff. Because there wasn't like there wasn't the phones. There wasn't like you didn't have to document every moment you were out to show people how much fun you were having. You just went there and had the fun.
Right. That's what I even loved about your book, the 128 beats per minute. When the pictures you see in there, I'm like, wow, was this fashion or were they people just didn't give a fuck? Because it's just so interesting to see.
It definitely, I think, fashion, even the fashion industry has grown so much for men and women. It 100% has to do with Instagram because everybody, not just me. You know, if I dress something nice, it's only gonna be the 10 people I deal with that day. Can see me wearing Gucci.
If
you're on Instagram, 100,000 people are gonna watch what you're wearing and talk about it.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, you've even seen the streetwear industry blow up, which has to 100% because of the internet. You know what I mean? 100%. Where like now even the high end companies have to cater to that because that's what's hot.
I would never, on 100 years, think that there was gonna be like Louis Vuitton collabs with Supreme.
Right. Yeah.
You know, small brands, but that's what kids want. Their demographic is like literally 12-year-olds asking their parents for money to buy clothes.
Exactly.
It's crazy. Well, let's get into a new record just came out from Major Lazer, All My Life. Anything that was interesting about the making of this? You work with Burna Boy on this one.
It's just the first beat we had when we started working on some kind of like the rhythms that were coming out of Lagos, Nigeria, and Burna Boy there's a lot of new artists that are huge right now on the scene, like Wizkid and Davido. You might have heard of them.
Yeah, Davido. Yep, he was just
but
up
if you
here.
ask any of them who is like the legend from that era, Burna Boy was like the first rapper from Nigeria and kind of was there while Afro pop was being developed.
Yeah.
Huge fan of him. He's got a great voice, strong voice, and he's like a veteran. So he was like one of the guys I really wanted to work with.
We're seeing that Afrobeat scene just blow up. Yeah. What is it about Nigeria right now that's so popular? Like, what attracted you to want to start focusing in on that?
I mean, the first thing about Nigeria is that it's so huge. It's 190 million people. It's like it's close to the size of America. You know, it's like it's a tiny country. There's people in it, and there's a lot of money there. Like there's a lot of oil and mineral deposits. So there's a lot of affluency in the scene that helps to create music. If you have a little money in the city, you can create a lot of culture. The second thing is it's just everybody in Nigeria is a hustler. Right. Like everybody is working their ass off. If you like meet one artist, they're making like if I work with a rapper and we make 10 songs in a day, the Nigerian's gonna make 20. And then the guys like the way of life there is just like hustle.
Right.
If you listen to the radio in Lagos, literally the songs are about like people scamming people on the internet. Like, that's like the songs, that's like the content. And they're just the most hustling people, so they're just working so hard.
Right.
And when people do that and they have that spark and they have a little money there, and like it's just the music's just exploding there right now.
I love that.
It's crazy.
Let's get into it. This is Major Lazer with Burna Boy, All My Life.